Well, I think the families, in my mind, are behind the eight ball from the very beginning because they don't get to go through the training that the correction staff go through. They understand to a certain point how stressful the job can be for a whole bunch of different reasons, but they're, in my mind, always on the outside, trying to get in, but they're, whether it's their spouse or child or whoever it is that's working for corrections, doesn't want to let them in. And it's not because they're trying to shut them out. It's because they're trying to protect them. And I think corrections people tend to go overboard with that. So, if you get home from work and had a bad day and your wife can tell you had a bad day, what's going on? Oh, nothing. I don't want to talk about it. Well, you just shut her down and she thinks it's her. They deal with the fallout from, family members that are working a really, really tough job. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He wrote the little book When Home Becomes a Housing Unit.
Oh yeah, Bill Young. Yeah, Bill Young.
That's right. Yeah. Just listening to him talk, I think he nailed it. Among other things, he talked about when he would be at work at his 8-hour shift or 12-hour shift or whatever it was. The job would get the best of him, and then when he got home, he was just wiped out physically, mentally, and I can kind of relate to that. There'd be days I'd get home from work especially when I was still working in security, I'd be physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. I just want to sit down and relax, and especially during the summer, being outside on the sidewalks all day. I was miserable. I hated it. I would rather be in 20 below weather than 85 or 90. And I'd get home from work just being completely wiped out. And my wife would ask me, "Hey, let's go for a walk." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I've been pounding concrete all day long. The last thing I want to do is go for a walk." And maybe she understood it. Maybe she didn't, but William Young nailed it. I was wiped out at the end of the day. I just wanted to relax. I just wanted to be left alone. I wanted some peace and some quiet and a fan and a nice cold drink and nothing else. So the families, they deal with it. It's not the same as working there, but it's awful close. And I got really lucky when I ran into her, because the whole time I was working, for a long time, I was really involved heavily with union stuff. And then I got involved with staff wellness, spent a couple of weeks with you in Colorado. The last 2 or 3 years I was working, I was on the road a lot. And all the extra stuff I was doing, never once did she complain. The only time I would ever hear her say anything is, this was more when I was doing the union stuff. I spent a lot of off time talking to people on the phone, whatever. And she could tell when I have a not so good phone conversation. And her only complaint was something along the lines of, "Do those people have any idea how hard you're working for them?" That sort of thing. It was never, "Oh, you have to leave again." I never, ever heard that. So I was very blessed.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's a lot of self-control there, Sheila. A lot of self-control. A lot of grace. I
think it takes a lot of grace. Thinking back, especially when our son and daughter were younger, a lot of it too was almost like single parenting. He worked for a number of years, second, third shift. You work Christmas, you work birthdays, you work just about every holiday, sometimes double shifts. And looking back, he missed a lot too. And a lot of times that's difficult for families. Some families don't make it, unfortunately. The stress breaks them, unfortunately.
Right. You're right. Only too correct. Yes. Anything else on your heart, on your mind that you want to share about this?
I hope you can make a go of this. I hope it gets some nationwide recognition.
Thank you.
We know how it is. You've seen it. You're the expert. Corrections has always been the armpit of law enforcement. And that's finally starting to change a little bit. The same thing with the families. Everybody talks about, cop families and firefighter families. Nobody ever talks about corrections families and the stuff they have to deal with. So,
yeah, and I didn't know that the military has a whole month for military families.
Really?
The whole month of November. It's like, wow.
No
yes,
kidding.
I had no idea. Yeah, whole month. Huh. So it's just before Christmas, around Thanksgiving, the whole month of November. So anyway, I thought, whoa, the correctional folks, and especially since COVID and there's extreme increases in mandatory overtime.
Yeah.
The families are really paying a price. Not only that you're gone, but what are you bringing back home to me? What are you bringing back home to all of us?
Right.
In terms of illness, oh my goodness, the sacrifices people made living apart. Oh my goodness, throughout those years, last few years, crazy.